So that's it. I'm a goner. Boom. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. It's Paulie, Esther here, and as you all know, the Saw chapter is out. It came out yesterday across all platforms, which is an incredible achievement on Behavior's part to get a simultaneous release across all platforms. In my opinion, they went through a lot of extra effort to make that happen for us. And for a brief time, it was out on Xbox a day earlier in New Zealand. So PC players got to feel what console players have been feeling for the last 6 months, where they watched someone else with the ability to play the game when they couldn't play it yet. So the shoe was on the other foot for a change. So we got to feel what that felt like for all you console players for the last 6 months, waiting for DLCs to be delivered to you when they were delayed by a couple of weeks or more in some cases. So that was interesting. I know many of you were expecting me to put out a video yesterday, but I spent a long weekend at a farm with my family just to relax, and I didn't get home until fairly late, supperish time on Tuesday, so I didn't want to rush through a video, and I know there were so many other people who had done it already to show the Mori and things like that. It didn't really seem appropriate to do a rush job, and in retrospect, I think it's better that my first chapter video for you guys is a bit delayed, because I have some more information, or I'm able to absorb it a little bit better about what's going on in the game, with the introduction of Amanda Young as the pig, which, you know, it's very gratifying to know that all the leaked information that I provided to you was in fact genuine. I like to be able to bring you accurate information, so it was gratifying to know that everything that we thought was coming was true. And even Detective Tapp, even though there was questions, people rose questions about his placement in the box among the survivors, that they thought that was a good reason to prove that it was fake, but everything wound up being real, and that was astounding, honestly. A lot of the questions that we had surrounding some elements of the baptism power were easily answered, because we had said, well, if you have the trap on your head, what happens if you just get left on the ground? And, you know, it became very clear that the timers on these traps don't kick in until someone completes a generator, and then the timers stop if you're either on the ground, on a hook, or in a chase. So that was amazing. Like, it was very simple explanation and made so much sense. And wow, this chapter, they really knocked it out of the park. It's a boon. It's a banner DLC across the board. The Behavior just did a great job fitting the lore of the movie franchise and the character into the Dead by Daylight world. It's astounding, honestly, how well it fits. And unlike Freddy, who a lot of people argue, to me, and rightfully so, that Freddy is the only killer who has to use his power to succeed, Amanda Young, the pig, does not have to do that. She can just run around the map normally, but her ambush power fits into the lore of the movie franchise, because the pigs lay in wait and ambush attack you. Or she can run around normally and just swing her wrist blade, which I was glad that I called the wrist blade weapon as well. A lot of people were telling me it was going to be the hatchet, but the image of that pig woman with the hatchet is cosplay, so I was like, I don't think it's that. Anyway, it's a great, great chapter. I would say Behavior needed this win after the way the Nightmare on Elm Street chapter turned out, honestly. There were many people who were skeptical over how this chapter was going to be integrated into the Dead by Daylight game, and they did it so well. It's fun to play either as the survivor or as the killer in this. Both sides, it's fun to play. And I see people out there saying she needs a buff. I see people out there saying she's OP and needs a nerf. And typically, that is the sign that the killer is balanced. When you have both sides complaining, then that's typically a good sign that they did it right. So, okay, let's go in and look at some of this now. Let's see here. Okay, so for Amanda, Hangman's Trick, I think everybody's well aware how that perk works here. So, hooks respawn so fast across the map, you don't have to be in proximity anywhere in the map. You could be all the way on the other side of the map. The hooks will just respawn themselves in as little as 10 seconds if you have up to tier 3. Now, this make your choice. When a survivor rescues another from a hook at least 32 meters away from you, the make your choice triggers and applies the exposed status effect on the rescuer for 60 seconds, and then the make your choice has a cooldown of another 60 seconds. So now, what exposed means is that the one who does the rescuing can be one shot downed within the next 60 seconds. That's what exposed means. Initially, I thought that it meant that their aura was going to be visible for 60 seconds. But what it means is that they're vulnerable, basically. They're vulnerable to getting one shot downed. So that's how that works. And then the surveillance one, some people felt like this was the most confusing of the perks. So up to level 3, the last 3 regressing generators auras are indicated to you in white for 16 seconds. So this will give you the ability to look around and just make sure that the generators that you previously kicked are still regressing. And believe that's the way I'm understanding how this works. If I'm wrong, please correct me and let me know. But I think this is basically a perk to let you know that the generators that you've kicked are still regressing. Nobody's come up and tapped them to stop the regression or whatnot. You can just see and make sure that the ones you want to regress are still regressing. Otherwise, you know to go investigate that area, because obviously somebody has touched the generator since you've kicked it. That's my understanding for how that power works. Let's switch over to Survivor. David Tapp. To me, this was the #1 choice from the franchise to have as Survivor. I know a lot of people wanted Dr. Gordon, and now we can see here on this tenacity perk why they couldn't show us the icon. A lot of people thought it was going to be showing us a person crawling away who had cut off their foot, and they thought it was going to be Dr. Gordon. But clearly, this shows David Tapp getting his throat slashed by Jigsaw, and he does do some crawling in the first movie, so it fits in with the lore there. I know a lot of people thought it was going to be Dr. Gordon. My first choice was always David Tapp, and the reason for that is because he's a heroic character. He may not have been on the track of the right person who was the Jigsaw killer, but he was doing his darndest to try and catch the person responsible. And in my book, that makes him a desirable addition. I didn't want Adam, I didn't want Zep, certainly. Even Gordon was not an attractive character to me. The only other one that my second choice would have been Detective Matthews, but he was a dirty cop. So, you know, obsessed cop on the side of right is going to trump dirty cop in my book every time. I think it's a great character. I love Danny Glover as an actor. I mean, you could just see it when he's rubbing the back of his head. You know, you're just waiting for him to say, man, I'm getting too old for this stuff. Like, he's a great addition. I love it. So we go through his perks. Tenacity, we all know that one pretty well. So this stakeout, I played a game where I was on the 2-level building of the meat plant, and the pig was running around below me, so I was still getting heartbeat because I was in her proximity. I just happened to be a story above her, and I was able to get 4 tokens in this KYF match we were playing, and I used those tokens. See, it says here that a good skill check is considered a great skill check and consumes a token, and I was able to use those tokens against Ruin, so that's pretty valuable, is that you're never gonna have to get that tiny window of the great skill check against a Ruin. As long as you have these tokens, you can replace those and the goods become greats, and they're useful against Ruin. Other than that, I don't know how important it is to get great skill checks in any scenarios other than that, so I don't know if I'll use it a lot, but it does indeed work against Ruin if you have tokens built up to spend in that manner. Detective's Hunch is a pretty good one. This one, I maybe even like this one the best out of his perks, because it's like an internal map mechanism. So you can just see stuff after you complete a generator, which might be very valuable if you complete the last generator to go and look where the totem spawns are to try and get rid of a Noed, perhaps. That's usually what I use it for. Once I pop a generator, I'll look for the nearest totem just to go and look at it, see what it is, make sure there's no Devour Hope lit up somewhere, etc., etc. On the whole, I'm very pleased with him, and I think Amanda is just a great character as well. Her dirtiest add-ons, if you ask me, are the ones that moderately reduce the reverse bear trap timer, and the one that adds an extra jigsaw puzzle box to the map, because then there could be 5 boxes on the map instead of 4, and then survivors only have a 20% chance of finding the right one instead of a 25% chance. And then this one where you've moderately reduced the timer ticking away, then they have less time to cover all 5 boxes. So I think those are pretty neat. There was another one here. This is an interesting one. The face mask for me, that causes the survivors with the reverse bear trap to suffer from the blindness status effect. And it works even to the point where you can't see survivors who are hooked, which I think that was in the patch notes, that they've now changed all blindness status effects that you can't see hooked people, which is pretty significant. If you can't find your hooked teammate, they're going to go down. That's a pretty significant change to the blindness status effect. I think she's well done. She's very well done as a character. We've seen a couple of things on Reddit. That she has a facial model, just the same way that I showed you that the Huntress had a face behind her mask. Amanda Young similarly has a face behind her pig mask. I'll show you that right now. So that's what Amanda looks like underneath the mask, which is pretty cool that they've made her model underneath instead of just the pig head. As always, I kind of wish that the licensed killers had more to offer in the way of cosmetics, but what can you do? That seems to be the way they all are, where they just have the one outfit and they can't do a lot of changing other than prestige, of course. And you may have remembered that they talked about on the last dev stream, Matthew mentioned, well, will we ever see a non-humanoid killer, like such as a spider creature or something like that? And he mentioned how it would be so expensive and cost prohibitive to make a new character skeleton, an armature, if you will, for the animation, that it's so expensive that they need to have the characters similar so they can reuse rigs. Well, it's having played against Amanda a couple of times and seeing her movements, it seems very apparent to me that she uses the same rig as Freddy. Just the way she vaults through the windows, it looks like it's Freddy. So it looks to me that she's just a skin built on the same framework as Freddy. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but that's what I think anyway. So, I've played about half a dozen regular games, and I think I died the first 4 times, and then I survived the last 2 times. They've been fun. You see a lot of people are running Premonition just because the sneak attack is so sneaky you don't see her coming until it's too late. I have heard her breathe a couple times before she came out into her ambush to give me a heads up she was around, but other than that, she's super duper sneaky, and I think it's a great mechanic. This chapter just ticks so many boxes, things that people wanted. Like we always said, we wish we had something else to interact with in the game. Done. We got jigsaw puzzle boxes. We have different gameplay for the killer to make it interesting for them with the stealth mode. Done. So many things that are just great, like a good movie adaptation. It's just a home run on so many levels for Behavior. Bravo. I think you did a pretty good job so far, everybody, Behavior. This is an amazing chapter. The map is so cool, the Gideon meat plant with all of the moving doors, the detail. It's just cranked up a notch on the details of the map. It's so fun to explore all the freezer room, the pig shredding room, the bathroom, the workshop, the level of detail. I still haven't found the golden toolbox, by the way, which is driving me crazy. I had Ace walking around that map for an hour trying to find that golden toolbox so he could break out his secrets to all of you and say, that's where my finger guns are, man. Get my finger guns out of that golden toolbox. But I can't find it. I don't want to believe that they didn't include it because it's been on so many of the maps in a row since Haddonfield, I believe. Every map since Haddonfield, I believe, has the golden toolbox. I don't know why it wouldn't be on this map, but I just choose to believe that I have not found it yet and that it exists. So I'll keep hunting. I'm having a lot of fun with this chapter. I hope that you all are as well. And I love playing Detective Tap. And hey, let me tell you what else. The ladies, they love a man in uniform, am I right?
Hey, officer. You wanna pat me down? Maybe
I'm sorry, Ray.
maybe search my cavities for contraband. I'm ready.
Anyway, so that's all I've got for you now. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the new chapter? Are you loving it? Is it worth the money? I know a lot of people out there are very skeptical that they said after what happened with Freddy that they would not buy this DLC right away for fear that there would be broad stroke changes made within the first week or two and they would feel like their money was wasted. All I can say is that we've been assured by the devs that with this new survey system that they wouldn't even roll out the survey for our opinions about the new chapter for a few weeks, and then it would take time to even read all the commentary, let alone make any decisions based on that commentary. So I don't think you're going to see anything change within the first month. Except for, okay, so I did have this one situation here where you see that the hatch spawned in a stupid spot.
Take a sausage out of that box and smack her with it.
Can I even go in this thing? It's like halfway against the wall.
Wait, oh no, it's in the wall, it's in the wall.
Wait, let me just see. Just drop me, I want to see if I can even use it. I won't use it.
The hatch is in the wall. It's in the wall.
Oh my god, it is.
I can't even use it.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
hold on. See if you can use it. See if you can use it when he's not like on the ground. Like pick him up.
I can't even use it.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
Let him wiggle off, Amy. Be a good pastrami noodle. What is this, Paul? This is not normal. This is not normal. Can you?
I can't use it. No. Well, that's unfortunate. So there, obviously, in that case, there needs to be a correction made because you need to have hatches that are usable. So that there will be patches rolled out to fix things like that. And the only other thing that I can think of that is potentially I don't even know what to use. Bad, like it needs to be changed or potentially threatening to the game as far as fair play is that if you have a timer ticking on your head, well, you know how I said that the timer stops when you're in a chase? But if Amanda crouches, you're no longer in a chase anymore, and she's like basically got a built-in Insidious with no heartbeat. You aren't being technically chased. She could sneak up behind you and trap you in a corner where you can't get out, and then she could just hold you hostage in that spot until your timer blew up and you couldn't do anything about it. So I don't know how you fix that. Is there something where Amanda needs to not have collision when she's in crouch? But that is a very real scenario that could happen if you allowed Amanda to sneak up on you and trap you in a corner. She could just make the trap blow up on your head if she was willing to wait it out. The timer, I believe, has a 150 seconds, I've been told. I haven't actually timed it myself, but once a reverse bear trap starts ticking, it's 150 seconds, barring an add-on change like a tampered timer that would reduce that amount of time. So if Amanda is really mean and decides she wants to try and trap you in a corner for 150 seconds, there isn't much you can do. So can you come back to the room where you first found me?
Here. Do you want me to, like, wait here, or do you want me to, like, make it pause?
Come crouch behind me. Can you get closer? Okay, so I cannot get out now. And my timer's ticking. So you can effectively trap me here until my head blows up. Let's do that.
Alright.
I'm a goner.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it. So I don't know if they need to change this where they need to make it so that she doesn't have collision in the same way that Michael Myers can't trap you so that he can just stalk you in a corner. They may need to do that. I don't know, would there be any other implications to her not having collision when she's crouching or not? So that's it. I'm a goner. Boom. So that's something they need to look at. So what do you think about the chapter? You love it? You hate it? Is there something that you think needs improving? Share your thoughts with us. As always, you know I'm reading it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of one another. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.